Hi everyone, welcome to the Timeform and Sporting Life production of Kipco British Champions Day. I'm Ben Linfoot, delighted to be joined by Kieran Clark and Matt Brocklebank to discuss the action, and we've got a little bit of a different format this week. We're going to have 2 minutes on each race, just discussing selections for Ascot, and the first thing to say is we have now got confirmation they've switched to the inner hurdles track at Ascot, so slightly better ground on the round course and soft ground as it stands on the straight course. I think that's right, isn't it, gents?
That sounds about right. It's been a tricky week, hasn't it, weighing up all those changes? But yeah, I think you've nailed it.
Yeah, OK, so let's kick on, and we're going to do it in chronological order, which means it's the Long Distance Cup first up. Kyprios, top of the shop on Timeform ratings, top of the shop in the betting, Kieran, but is he your selection for the race?
He's not scooped, no, he's a long way clear, as you'll see there, £9, but he had a career-threatening injury, didn't he, at the end of last season? He made a slightly encouraging comeback in the Irish Ledger. Is he as good as he was? I don't think he is. It's all about Coltrane for me, Scoop. Brilliant course record. Looked really close in this last year. He's as game as they come. Forgive that run at Doncaster last time. That was really soon after a valiant effort when he beat Courage Enemy at York. Yeah, there's loads to like. I think he'll win, and he's 7-1.
Yeah, there's not much between him and Trushan on Timeform ratings, but there's quite a big discrepancy in the market. Matt, who's your selection for the opener at Ascot on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Frankie Dettori and Trawlerman in the opener. I think John and Thady Gosden are going to be absolutely delighted with this change of track, because not only is it much better ground, but it's a slightly shorter distance as well. We're shaving off about 80 yards from the Long Distance Cup and the Fillies and Mares Stakes as well. So Trawlerman is just a lightly raced horse this year, and he's looked in really, really good form, winning easily at Salisbury and Newmarket. Now, they were small field races, and he didn't have to he wasn't hard pressed to win them, put it that way, but he's looked in really good order. And if you go back to last year's race, he was third to Trushan in this contest on good to soft ground. He probably would want quicker ground, but he handles a bit of cut. And I thought he ran really well. He was 20-1 last year, and he was passed just with a couple of furlongs with a furlong and a half to go. But he travelled really strongly into the straight. And I think if Frankie gives him boots him on, turning into this tighter home straight around the bend into the home straight this time around, I think he might take a bit of passing. OK, Kyprios could be tough to beat in the Long Distance Cup if he's at his best, but it is a big if, and that's why the panel are taking him on. Next up, we have the British Champions Sprint, won last year by Kinross. Again, he tops the Timeform ratings, Kieran. Is he the one to beat?
I think he is, Scoop, yeah. He's a class act in this, isn't he? There's not much between them on ratings, but those ratings from a few of the others don't come at this top level. The likes of Rohano, I know Matt Sweet on, that comes in a handicap. The Dream, she'll love the ground. I think the ground's a bit of a leveller for her, but it's all about Kinross for me. He probably should have won in France. He won this last year. He was placed in the July Cup, and it'll be flying dismounts all round come 2 o'clock, I think. Yeah,
it's shaping up to be potentially a good day for Frankie Dettori, and he's got a rock-solid contender here, Matt.
He is, yeah. He's without question the horse to beat. He's a proper kind of globe-trotting, genuine Group 1 horse, isn't he? On a stiff 6 furlongs, especially when there's soft ground as well. But I think Rohan is a legitimate candidate, and not just on those really heroic handicap performances that Kieran touched upon. But if you go back again to last year, I'm going to repeat my sort of line from the very first race. A horse that ran really well in defeat last year, Rohan. He ended up 4th behind Kinross. If you think about it, he was sent off 4-1, Kinross 3-1, so he's a much bigger price this time around, and yet he arrives in really good form after giving a stone and a beating to a nice horse of Ed Walker's called English Oak, just in a handicap earlier this month. And last year I thought he was a bit unlucky with the draw. Kinross got a really nice toe into it with the 2 Godolphin horses down the centre of the track, and Rohan actually won in the bunch of horses who raced more towards the far side. And I think he's got a good pace set up this time around. He's drawn in 6, and he's got some really speedy horses on that far side drawn low, like Swing Along, who will hopefully tow him along. And Ryan Moore's back in the saddle for the first time since winning last year's Wokingham at the Royal Meeting. So lots to like about Rohan, who is 5 from 8 over 6 furlongs at Ascot.
OK, Kinross for Kieran, Rohan for Matt. Believing for me each way in this sprint. I think she might get towed into that pace on the far side in first-time cheap pieces and run well the Sprint Cup third. Next up, we have the Fillies mares. And again, we're talking about Frankie Dettori, free wind at the top of the time form ratings, Matt. And on her best form, she deserves to be top of the market as well.
Yeah, I think she probably does. You could tell probably about halfway around in the Arc de Triomphe that Frankie might have just felt that she wasn't on a going day. There's no better jockey than him at looking after a horse with a future date in mind, and he was probably already expecting that she'd be rocking up at Ascot on Champions Day, and here she is. Her previous run, when beaten ahead, just a shade unlucky not to win maybe that day. I really rate Warm Heart, the winner of that race. She's obviously subsequently come out and won the Prix Vermeil. So free wind you have to respect. When you're looking at this on, soft, potentially heavy ground earlier in the week, I was thinking that we might be able to get a turn up in this with Henry de Bromhead's Term of Endearment, an interesting one at a price. But on the slightly better ground, on the sharper track, I think the class horse is going to come to the fore. I'm actually with Jackie O in this, the O'Brien horse. I think a lot in this race hinges on how much improvement she could make for going up to 1.5 miles for the first time. She's a Galileo, obviously. Everything you read and hear about from O'Brien and Ryan Moore suggests that she's going to improve. She ran an absolute belter in the Prix de l'Opera. That's generally one of the best Fillies middle distance races around, run all year. If she repeats that, she'll be hard to beat. If she improves on it, she'll win this.
Jackie O for Matt. Who's it for you, Kieran?
Blue Stocking's a massive price. I don't understand why she's as big as tens. Yes, she got beaten in a listed race at Chester last time, but her form previous to that is really strong. She was fourth in the Ribblesdale here that worked out well. She probably should have won the Irish Oaks. I really like the angle of first-time cheap pieces. Beckett in first-time headgear, it's always a good angle. And I think if she hadn't run last time, she'd be half the price, maybe even shorter. I like her drawing 11. Big ride for Ross Ryan, who's had a great season. I think it's less like 10 to 1. Get stuck in each way.
OK, Blue Stocking for Kieran in the Fillies mares. We're halfway through, and at this point I should remind you that we have got an exclusive Willie Mullins stable tour appearing on the site on Sunday and the YouTube video as well, so please do check that out. Now, the second half of Champions Day, this is where it gets really interesting, and we've got the QE2, the Queen Elizabeth II Stakes, run over a mile on the straight track, and we have Paddington top of the ratings, Matt.
We do, yeah. Paddington's had a brilliant season already. Now he has to come back from the sort of 60 or so days off since we last saw him. When third, he ran another very creditable race, when third in the Juddmonte International at York. He handles soft ground. We saw that at Goodwood when he won the Sussex Stakes. And he sets the bar in terms of the pure form. Personally, I don't really like to hear it on this bad ground. I don't really like Nashwa on the soft ground either. So a little bit of each way value. I'm going to go with one of the French horses, and Factor Cheval, who actually chased home Paddington in that Sussex. He's since come out and run a good race again in defeat, finishing third in the Prix de Moulin. He just finished half a length behind Big Rock, the runner-up that day. He's actually £1 better off, so I'd like to think that he might be able to reverse the form with that horse. They both handle soft ground, but Factor Cheval's the bigger price. Hopefully Michael Barcelona will be able to sort of stalk the front runners and pick up some of the pieces in this race. Because it's going to be gruelling, isn't it? Testing on the straight course.
It is going to be testing, and with that in mind, Kieran, who's your selection?
It's a hero for me. I'd love what she did at Leopardstown last time. There is a potential argument she's best around the bends because of her style of racing. She has a real potent turn of foot, but she's shown that she does that in any ground. She went really close in the Guineas when there were miles clear. That was on heavy ground. Soft ground, she won on good firm last time. Quickest matron since Soviet Song. And I was still in primary school when she won that. Sorry to show my age there, lads. But I just think it's less like she's 4 to 1. I think she'd have won the Breeders' Cup Mile. They might still go there, but I didn't think there should be as much between her and Paddington as there is. It's a fantastic race, but I do think the 3-year-olds will come to the fore. And Dermot Well doesn't bring them over for nothing. So she's the one for me.
Yeah, it's a great race. Big Rock for me in the Queen Elizabeth II Stakes. I think he might be hard to pass from the front end on a testing straight track at Ascot. Kieran, we've got the Champion Stakes next, arguably the biggest race of the day. Horizon Doré from France is the favourite, but he is not anywhere near the top of the time form ratings. That's Mostadaf, the impressive Juddmonte International winner at York. Is he your selection?
He's not. He got a brilliant ride, didn't he, from Frankie at York. Jim Crowley back on. Now he's back from his ban. Listen, he's done nothing wrong, has he? He was 4th behind Equinox. He's come out and won both his starts since. You've got to respect him. But I like Bay Bridge, last year's winner. Very much his time of year. I thought he ran okay in the Arc. Yes, it's a quick turnaround, but Sir Michael Stout wouldn't be running him if he didn't think he was ready. He goes really well at this track, and I just thought he was a shade overpriced at 5 to what is very much his time of year. You look at the likes of King of Steel, yet to win a Group 1, around the same price. Yes, Frankie's on, and there's plenty to like in that regard. But for me, it was all about Bay Bridge to repeat this from last year. The French horse, I think, wants better ground for all that he has won on heavy. His very best forms come on a sounder surface. Yeah, I mean, you could back him each way if you really wanted to Bay Bridge, but win only about 5 to 1. He's the one for me.
Matt?
Yeah, I was all for getting a bit fruity here, Scott, with Via Sistina. I thought she had a really interesting chance on bad ground. That was kind of on the proviso that I thought Mostadaf might not run if it got really heavy and they might hold him back for the Breeders' Cup Turf. But Mostadaf's the world-class horse in this race for me, and he should be short price favourite, I think. I know, as you said there, Kieran, it was a good ride from Frankie Dettori in the Juddmonte International, but he's won by a length. He won the Prince of Wales's by 4 lengths. He's just a massively improved horse this time around. The Goslings have clearly found the key to him. Now, he would want good to firm or good ground in an ideal world, but you go back, he's won twice on soft ground in the past. I think he's going to be effective this weekend. Jim Crowley's back in the saddle, and I think it'd be a big moment for him to win this race, I think, won't it? After what happened with Baid last year, he was fully expected to win that. So I'd like to see Mostadaf win. Whether he's going to represent value on the day, I'm not sure. I think the money's probably going to come for him, but yeah, he's without question the horse to beat in the Champion Stakes, and I'm struggling to take him on.
OK, Mostadaf and Bay Bridge for the panel in a fascinating renewal of the Champion Stakes. We are just about at the end of the preview, but we've got time for a selection each in the closing Balmoral Handicap. Kieran, I'm going to come to you first for this one.
I'm a beer to pay for the beers, as you said to me off Air Scoop. Listen, Docklands is a brilliant horse. He absolutely hammered his group this side when he won the Britannia. Things didn't quite go right for him at Goodwood. He hasn't been seen since. He could be a Group 1 horse in a handicap, but I really like Almabeer. He's very, very effective in testing conditions. He won by a wide margin on his final start last season, and he ran really well at Newbury in the race. It's worked out well. Popmaster won that. He went close here in a big handicap. William Haggis knows what it takes to win this. He won it with Aldari 2 years ago. 12 to 1, I think, is a massive price. I'll be having a good each-way bet on him. He's not the biggest, but he's got plenty of power. And he's drawn 23. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad. It's quite a narrow track, isn't it? Suppose we'll find out by...
I think he can drop in from there, can't he, and sort of avoid... and find the gaps, basically.
Yeah. I just thought it was a big price, 12 to 1.
Yeah, I'm with you on Almabeer. Matt, have you got one in this? You must have one in this.
There are a lot of classy horses in this race, and you look at the likes of Almabeer and Migration at the top. They will be able to hold their own in sort of half decent group company in future and currently, but I do like to try and find something or some horse doing something different to really find an edge in these big handicaps. And I'm drawn to Dancing Magic. He's trained by Roger Till, who's having a really good end to the season. He's got a nice horse lined up for the Futurity Trophy at Doncaster next weekend. Now, this horse actually ran in that race last year. He was 4th behind August Rodin on the heavy ground, and it hasn't really worked out for it. Look, he's a 10-race maiden at the end of the day, and he's got a fair bit to prove after finishing 4th of 5 at Salisbury last time out, but he was 3rd in the Craven at the start of the season, and that to me showed that he had trained on. He didn't actually run too badly either in the Hampton Court Stakes at Ascot when they switched the tactics and he sort of came from behind, but he's generally ridden a bit more prominently. Now, 2 significant potential sources of improvement would be the wind operation that he's had since we last saw him. Now, Roger Teal knows the family really well. He trained the half-brother who won in a first-time tongue-tie, I think it was. So there's clearly maybe the odd breathing issue there. And hopefully they've sorted that out, and Oisin Murphy's been booked as well, which looks a statement of intent. So, yeah, I'm going with the Camelot colt Dancing Magic each way in the Balmoral.
Great stuff. Dancing Magic in the Balmoral for Matt. Beer for me and Kieran in the closing handicap on what is set to be a fascinating Kipco British Champions Day. It's not all about Frankie Dettori. There's plenty else to look forward to as well. Do enjoy it if you're watching the racing on Saturday.
You can watch more Sporting Life video by clicking on the left here, and you can download the free Sporting Life app in your app store now for the latest news, expert tipping insight and big race analysis, all at the tap of a finger. Users must be 18 or over to sign up to the Sporting Life app.